Odin, the ruler of Asgard. The leader of the Aesir, the lord of Asgard, and the most powerful deity in Norse mythology was Odin. He had numerous responsibilities. He is credited with the creation of runic writing and sacrificial rituals, and it was thanks to him that humans received the Mead of Poetry, a source of talent and renewal. Odin was the patron of warriors and rulers, sorcerers and travelers, sages and poets. He was the god of war and victory and was often associated with justice. It was believed that he led the fierce Valkyries and appeared over the battlefield, aiding the side he deemed just. Not only humans, but even gods revered and feared him, as many of them were his children. The Wild Sage. The origin of Odin's name, often rendered as Wotan or Woden, is debated. Most scholars believe it comes from an ancient Germanic word meaning wild, possessed, or leader of the raging ones. A strange name for a god of wisdom, isn't it? But it likely means that Odin was originally associated with some natural force, and only over time was his image enriched with wisdom. Odin was depicted in various forms. Sometimes he appeared as a warrior, armed with a sword and a spear. This was no ordinary spear. It had its own name, Gungnir. Many ancient cultures had a tradition of naming legendary weapons, reflected in myths and legends. Just think of Balmung, the sword of Siegfried, Excalibur, the sword of King Arthur, or Durandal, the blade of the medieval knight, Roland. Gungnir was crafted for Odin by the dwarves, the master smiths of the underworld, who sought to impress the strict All-Father. This spear never missed its target and could pierce even the strongest armor. On Odin's head, one could see either a warrior's helmet, a crown symbolizing his dominion, or a simple felt hat, marking him as a wanderer. He was always accompanied by two ravens, Huginn, thought, and Muninn, memory. Odin granted them the ability to speak so they could report to him everything happening in the world. At his feet sat two wolves, Geri, the greedy, and Freki, the gluttonous. According to ancient sagas, during feasts in his palace, Odin consumed only mead and wine, while the meat was given to his wolves. Sleipnir, the eight-legged steed, Odin is unimaginable without his faithful horse, Sleipnir, whose name means sliding or swift. This horse could leap immense distances, soaring over battlefields, and was unmatched in speed. Perhaps because he had 8 legs, he was so powerful that his hoofprints could leave deep ravines and canyons. It is said that Asgard Canyon in Iceland, shaped like a horseshoe, is actually a mark left by Sleipnir's hoof. Ravens were not just symbols of wisdom and Odin's messengers in Norse culture. They were also omens of death and adorned Viking battle banners. An eye for wisdom. Odin is known for having only one eye. No, he didn't lose it in battle, as some modern movies and comics suggest. Instead, he willingly sacrificed it in exchange for wisdom. According to legend, when Odin was still young, perhaps already ruling Asgard, but who knows for sure, he learned of a well of wisdom hidden at the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree. He desperately wanted to drink from it, to gain knowledge as well as strength and courage. Upon reaching the well, he found it guarded by the giant Mimir. "Please let me drink from the well," asked Odin. "We long to become wise." "Nothing comes for free," Mimir replied. "What will you give in return?" Odin thought for a moment and then offered his eye. He reasoned that wisdom sometimes allows one to see more than sharp eyesight ever could. There is another version of the legend in which Mimir was unjustly executed, and Odin sacrificed his eye to resurrect the wise giant's severed head. Since then, Mimir's living, speaking head has remained near the well. and Odin gained the right to drink from it whenever he pleased. The mystery of runes. It is believed that Odin brought writing to the Norse world. According to legend, he willingly impaled himself with a spear and hung from Yggdrasil to receive this knowledge. This was yet another sacrifice for wisdom. Runes were not just letters, they were also used for divination and as protective charms. The Mead of Poetry. Finally, Odin gave humanity the Mead of Poetry, a magical drink brewed from the blood of the wise dwarf Kvasir. Devious giants hid it in a secret cave, but Odin tricked a giantess, seduced her, and convinced her to let him taste the mead. To bring it to Asgard, Odin transformed into an eagle. With his beak full of the enchanted drink, he flew over the branches of Yggdrasil. Along the way, he spilled some of the Mead of Poetry, and those who managed to catch and drink it became great poets. However, since the journey was long, Odin also swallowed a bit of the mead, and the part that exited from the other end of his body was collected by others, who became terrible poets. Frigg, the wise queen. Odin's wife was Frigg, the goddess of marriage, hearth, and childbirth. People prayed to her for happiness in family life and prosperity. Like her husband, she was wise and often gave him advice. Her symbols were the spindle and a set of keys. She favored those who worked hard to provide for their loved ones. Frigg knew all the secrets of the past and the future, was gifted with prophecy, and protected seers. 4 or 1. Frigg was accompanied by divine maidens, Fulla, the keeper of her treasure chest, Na, who rode a swift horse and delivered messages, and Hlin, who protected people from danger. Some believe these three were not separate beings, but different aspects of Frigg herself. Odin and Frigg had 3 sons: Balder, the god of light and spring; Höder, the blind god who unwittingly caused great sorrow to the gods; and Hermod, the swift messenger of Odin. However, Odin was never known for his marital fidelity and had many children, both gods and legendary heroes who founded noble lineages